We've been talking about the person of Christ on the doctrine of Christ. And I want to talk to you and just point out some key Messianic prophecies fulfilled by Jesus. And just in Matthew's Gospel alone. So there's several dozen of these, and it really stands out. If you have a chart, you can follow along. But I'll reference the Old Testament passage and what it was and what the fulfillment was in Matthew's Gospel. So in Genesis 12, verses 2 and 3, we see that Jesus is born of the seed of Abraham. Matthew 1, verse 1 and 2 and verse 17. Matthew 1, 2, he'd be born of the seed of Isaac in reference to Genesis 17, 19. Matthew 1, 2, he's born of the seed of Jacob in reference to Numbers 24, verse 17. In Matthew 1, 3, he's descended from the tribe of Judah. Genesis 49, 10 speaks of that. In Matthew 1, verses 1, 6, and 17, he would be heir to the throne of David, which was prophesied in 2 Samuel 7, verses 12 through 16, and Isaiah 9, verse 7. In Matthew 1:21, he's able to save or deliver. He will save his people from their sins. Psalm 130 and verse 8 spoke of that. Matthew 1:23, he is born of a virgin. That's fulfilling Isaiah 7:14. Matthew 2:6, he would be born in Bethlehem. That fulfills Micah chapter 5 and verse 2. Matthew 2, verse 14 and 15, he would have a flight to Egypt in reference to Hosea 11:1. Also Matthew 2, verses 16 through 18, there will be innocent ones slaughtered because of Jesus, fulfilling Jeremiah 31 and verse 15. Matthew 2:23, he would be a Nazarene, probably meaning he's a branch. The Hebrew word there is netzer. It's that where we get the N, the Z, and the R transliterated. So it's probably referencing the Nazarene. But he's a branch in Isaiah 11:1 and Jeremiah 23, verse 5. In Matthew 3:3 and 11:10, he would be preceded by a forerunner. We know this from Isaiah 40, verses 3 through 5 and Malachi 3:1. In Matthew 3, verses 16 and 17, he's declared the Son of God in fulfillment of Psalm 2:7. In Matthew 4, verses 1 through 10, he's greater than Israel, Moses, and Elijah in reference to Numbers chapter 10, verses 11 through 13, Numbers 20, 11 through 12, 1 Kings 19, verses 4 and 8 through 18. He's greater than all those characters. In chapter 4 of Matthew, verses 13 through 17, he would have a Galilean ministry spoken of in Isaiah 9, verses 1 and 2. In Matthew chapters 5 through 7, in the Sermon on the Mount, he's a prophet like Moses. He's the new lawgiver. Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 through 18 says it would be a prophet like him that would come. In Matthew 8:17, he took our infirmities in fulfillment of Isaiah 53 and verse 4. In Matthew 10, verses 1 through 7, he's the restorer of Israel, the 12 tribes, in fulfillment of Jeremiah 33, verses 14 through 16. In Matthew 11, verses 4 and 5, he's the anointed one, the Christ, in fulfillment of Isaiah 61, verses 1 and 2. He's the servant of the Lord in Matthew 12, verses 18 through 21, in fulfillment of Isaiah 42, 1 through 4. In Matthew 21, verse 5, he has the triumphal entry, riding in a donkey, in fulfillment of Zechariah 9:9. Matthew 21:9, as well as 23:39, there's blessed is he who comes, in fulfillment of Psalm 118 and verse 26. In Matthew 21, verse 42, he would be the rejected cornerstone in fulfillment of Psalm 118, verses 22 and 23. In Matthew 22 and verse 44, he's at God's right hand in reference to Psalm 110 and verse 1. In Matthew 24, verse 30 and 26, verse 64, he's the coming Son of Man in reference to Daniel 7, verses 13 and 14. He would be sold for 30 pieces of silver in Matthew 26, verse 15, and chapter 27, 9 and 10, in fulfillment of Zechariah 11, verses 12 and 13. Matthew 26, verse 16, and verse 48 and 50 says that he would be betrayed by a friend in reference to Psalm 41 and verse 9. Matthew 26, verse 31, they would strike the shepherd in fulfillment of Zechariah 13, 7. In Matthew 26, verses 59 and 60, he'd be accused by a false witness in fulfillment of Psalm 35:11. In Matthew 26, 63 and 27, 12 through 14, he'd be silent to accusations in fulfillment of Isaiah 53 and verse 7. He would be spat upon and smitten in Matthew 26, 67 and 27:30 in fulfillment of Isaiah 50 and verse 6. He'd be scorned and mocked in Matthew 27, 31 and 41 in fulfillment of Psalm 22, verses 7 and 8. He would be given vinegar and gall in Matthew 27, verse 34, fulfilling Psalm 69, verse 21. In Matthew 27, verse 35, they would gamble over his clothing in fulfillment of Psalm 22, verse 18. In Matthew 27, verse 30, he would be crucified with the transgressors in fulfillment of Isaiah 53 and verse 12. In Matthew 26, verse 46, he would have a God-forsaken cry in fulfillment of Psalm 22, verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? In Matthew 27, verses 57 through 60, he'd be buried with the rich in fulfillment of Isaiah 53 and verse 9. Then in Matthew 28, verses 6 and 7, he would be risen from the dead in reference to Psalm 16, verse 10, and Psalm 49, 9, as well as 49, 15. And then Matthew 28, 19 teaches that all nations are blessed through him, and we know that he would be blessed through Abraham's line, Genesis 12, 3. So wonderful prophecies fulfilled in the coming of Jesus, proving that he's the Messiah, and that's just the references laid out there in Matthew's gospel. I hope that's helpful to you, and I hope you're able to use that both in your own assurance and your opportunities to witness to others to prove that Jesus is the Messiah that God had promised to send long ago.